Thanks very much, Sue. When she told me about this, she said, now, I want you to not only do this talk, but I want you to do this in the TED Talk format. And I'd never done a TED Talk format, so she said, don't worry, there'll be a coach and so forth. And so at any rate, so this is a first for me, but I've kind of enjoyed preparing for it. Before I start, I just wanted to do a shout out to Sue and to NEEP. What a terrific summit. Congratulations. So as Sue mentioned, I went to Paris for COP21. As many of my friends know, I'm absolutely passionate about climate change. And I really feel that the kind of things we do in energy efficiency and renewable energy are really just the driving solutions that we need to accelerate for getting the planet to where it needs to go. So, you know, I want you to visualize you're in Paris, think of the Eiffel Tower, you're on the Seine River, going down the river, the cafes, the food, the wine, and then 30 to 40,000 delegates and participants in COP21 show up, and we had 150 country leaders. It was the greatest outpouring of country leaders attending a single event. So the energy was great. We actually came up with a climate agreement that was better than a lot of people thought. It actually provides a foundation for us to really move forward. And the energy was great. I mean, for us policy wonks in the clean energy area, I mean, this was our Woodstock. I mean, really. You know, we're going to look back and say, I was a cop, you know. And so we came out with a lot of energy, a good agreement and so forth. And what I realized, and when Sue asked me to really think about what does it mean, what did COP in Paris mean to you, I started reflecting on my 30 to 40 years. You know, I wrote when I was in the Congress, I worked for Bob Drine, and I wrote the Industrial Energy Conservation Act of 1975. So I've been doing this for a long time, and energy efficiency is really my first love. But, you know, in thinking about it, in Paris, I thought, wow, you know, we have now entered the age of energy efficiency and renewable energy, and we are leaving the era of fossil fuels. And that is underscored by the fact that investments last year in renewable energy globally was $286 billion, and the investments in fossil fuel infrastructure was half that. Half that. So we are definitely moving into the age of energy efficiency and renewable energy. So let's focus a little bit on the problems and the challenges that we're facing. For me, climate change is the big thing. It is a train coming down the tracks right at you and your families, going 90 miles an hour, and it is far worse than most people realize, unless you've really gotten into it, read a lot of the reports and so forth. I mean, in terms of floods, droughts, desertification, sea level rise, tornadoes, fires, extinction of species and so forth, this is a real deal. And it's going much faster than any of us could really appreciate. The well-respected publication, Nature, peer-reviewed article, a number of you may have seen it, came out with a big article in which the West Antarctic is melting far faster than we realize. And what they're saying is by the end of this century, not 200 years ago, by the end of the century, 85 years from now, instead of sea level rise being 1 to 2 feet, it could be 3 to 6 feet in 85 years. I mean, logistically, that doesn't make sense, and yet things are melting and accelerating that fast. Now, if you're a numbers person and you want to see how climate change is already here and has arrived, the casualty insurance numbers show that for extreme weather events in the early 80s, casualty losses ran around 20 billion in the early 80s, 30 billion in the early 90s. In the early 2000s, they had gone up to 40, and now they are up to 80. 20 to 80 in 35 years as a result of extreme weather. This is not a good trend. So it is really here, And so this is the big challenge that we can solve. We can get better by the things that we do in energy efficiency and renewable energy. So that's the first part of the challenge. The second part is what we can do to really accelerate. So what I want to do is see that those of us in this room and in the clean energy community generally take our message and what we do to the next level. Can we do that? Now, as I mentioned, $286 billion in renewable energy investment, and we need to take that to approximately $1 trillion of investment in terms of energy efficiency, renewable energy. We're already doing about 450 to 500 billion. We need to take it to $1 trillion. So the next challenge is, can we get 1 trillion a year, which is basically what they're saying we need. So that's a challenge, but business as usual right now is 455. So I think we can do it, but it's still a challenge. So now let's move to the next piece here. And so this was my COP slide, as you can see. Very exciting time. And now, as I mentioned, we are entering the age of energy efficiency and renewable energy. And now let's talk about the upside, the solution part of this, and the good things. Because the great thing about what we do is it's driven not just by climate change, which is a hugie, but the fact that we have lowered energy costs. We have lowered energy costs by $5.7 trillion over the last 25 years. I mean, that's phenomenal. I know that's what a lot of you are selling on. I mean, at Greener U, we were certainly selling on that. That's a good one. Energy security is another driver and a good benefit for what we do, because we are now at 4,500 barrels of imported oil, down from 12,000 only 10 years ago. So energy security means that we're not buying as much oil from the bad guys, and that's a lot better for us from a whole perspective. Clean economy and pollution. By doing more of what we're doing, we can have cleaner air. China and India obviously have a huge problem, and by doing a lot more energy efficient renewables, we can really help on the pollution front. And of course, economic development and jobs. We are in a situation where we are really creating jobs. The International Renewable Energy Agency now estimates 7.7 million jobs worldwide, direct and indirect, in terms of renewables. In efficiency, Steve's organization, ACEEE, has said 830,000 jobs in the United States, direct and indirect, in terms of energy efficiency. So we're looking at about 2 million jobs right now in the United States from clean energy. And that is very exciting. And worldwide, 12 to 14 million jobs. So as we grow and as the age of energy efficiency and renewable energy grows significantly, we are going to see much more in the way of economic development. So these are really great things. We got climate and greenhouse gas emission reduction. We've got lower energy costs. We've got better energy security. We've got cleaner air, and we've got jobs. I mean, we have the whole enchilada here, guys. And so this is something that we can really take to the bank and really use to expand, going from the era of fossil fuel and into this new age of energy efficiency and renewables. So what are we looking at in terms of the hot things? What are we looking at with regard to the big growth? And as you can see, just focusing, since this is an energy efficiency crowd, you know, obviously the technologies, the LEDs, I mean, look at how lighting has transformed itself just in the last 5 years with LEDs just coming in so strongly, costs going down. As I look at the global market, because my current position, as Sue mentioned, I started the International Institute for Energy Conservation in 1984. We have offices in Bangkok, New Delhi, and in Manila. Most of our staff are in Asia, and I'm focused on this now because this is where it's happening. I mean, we have to, in places like India, China, and other places, we've got to get this right. And so I'm focusing my efforts there. And if you look at the big things that have to be done, so it's technology, It's the kind of green buildings. We are making fabulous steps forward in green buildings, zero net energy technologies and so forth. So those of you who work in this overall area, the technology, the service delivery, the buildings, I mean, we're going to be seeing some fabulous buildings, and also the retrofits of existing buildings, which is a huge market. The ESCO industry is going to be growing hugely. In India, for example, EESL is the big ESCO player, and they are doing very well. But in most countries in the developing world, we do not have the kind of ESCO capability that we need. So that's going to be growing. All kind of services, all the kind of things that you do are going to be needed in the developing world. And of the $1 trillion that I mentioned, this is where a greater and greater percentage, well over 50%, is going to be in the developed world, not just in the developing world, not just the developed world. So let me now shift gears here on visualization. Sue mentioned visualization. I want you to be thinking about where, and I'm going to take it beyond 10 years. I'm going to take it to 20 to 25 years. I want you, because I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to be silent in a few seconds here, and I'm going to ask you to think about what the emergence of energy efficiency and renewable energy in your lives, what it's going to look like in 25 years. Think about your home, your transportation, your community. Think how that's going to change. So I'm going to stop talking, close your eyes, and think. Go. I can give you 30 seconds. So this is probably not enough time, but I bet that you've come up with some pretty interesting things, and I'll probably hear about them from some of you going forward later today. But it is going to be amazing. And from that perspective, that's another good segue for me to be able to then issue the famous TED Talk call to action. Because essentially what we need to address the climate change challenge that we have before us, all of us, my colleagues everywhere, the folks in Paris, worldwide, we have to take it up. So what I'm saying in the call to action is we need to do everything we're doing now and take it up to the next level. And I've founded 3 businesses and 3 nonprofits. I know how hard it is. It doesn't just happen easily. But for the planet, for our families, for all of us, we need to take it up. And so I ask all of you to step up your own game plan. The second part is, to the degree that you have the capability to work in the international front, think about that, because as I mentioned, this is going to be the greatest percentage of what's happening. The international area, both developing and lesser developed countries and larger emerging market economies like India, China, and so forth, this is where the action is, and this is where we really got to get our handle on greenhouse gas emissions, because they're going up like this. So for those that can get involved in the international market, by all means, think about it and consider getting in there. It's the Wild West, and a lot can be done. So in closing, I congratulate you for what you've done. You have helped us take us into the age of energy efficiency and renewable energy. My time at Paris, where I really did get a chance to reflect on this, has been really good from the standpoint of, wow, we are really lucky. We are here, part of this revolution, and we're helping create it. So I thank you for that. Keep up the good work, and let's go. Thank you very much.